now. Good morning. Happy Thursday, PSW staff, clients, friends joining us. We are going to, since it's summertime, we're going to be out in LA looking at some stuff because a few weeks ago we re-looked at Barnsdall Park and stuff like that. So I want to, now that it's summer, I want to get out and these places are open and we can go and visit them and that kind of stuff. So anyway, we'll take a look at that. But results are in for Twin Peaks, really looking good. So we'll see your results for that for tomorrow. So I can't wait to show you. But today we're going to go back and look at probably the most recognized sign and in LA. I mean, not the Hollywood sign though, but maybe second most. And so we're going to look at the Griffith Observatory.
Right for Hollywood, that's gooey ballyhooly Hollywood, where any office boy or young mechanic can be a panic with just a good-looking pan.
This might be one of the most recognizable signs in Los Angeles. I mean, second to the Hollywood sign, it might be almost just as recognizable and important, and you can see it almost as well as a Hollywood sign. It is just a phenomenal building, kind of Greek revival, but Art Deco. That's the style of it. And it didn't open until 1935, which seems like a long time ago. But I mean, come on, let's get this timeline up here. We gotta see. I mean, 1935 was late in terms of Hollywood development, LA development. I mean, the Ambassador Hotel was way before anything almost. Hollywood signs 1923, so I mean it's 12 years after that. And then we looked at City Hall. Look at all these things we've looked at. Catalina last week, but these are all like in the late 20s, early 30s, and it doesn't. Griffith Observatory doesn't open until 1935, so pretty late. It took 2 years to complete, and the architects were John C. Austin and Frederick M. Ashley. And we talked about the very eccentric character, Colonel Griffith J. Griffith. Yes, first name and last name, Griffith. I mean, good thing that J's in there. He was eccentric not only for trying to kill his wife and shoot her, but for many other things. And while he was in prison for 2 years, some of these plans were going through. He wanted to build the observatory much earlier. He died in 1919, so he didn't get to see it, but he made some good deals for us, at least. I mean, in the sense of allowing this beautiful 3,000 acres or so of the land surrounding the Observatory of Los Angeles. And we talked about him a little bit because, I mean, we looked at the Greek Theater, which is right there. We looked at the Ford Theater. We're really getting to know the city. More people have looked through the Griffith Observatory telescope up there than any other telescope in the world. So that's kind of cool. I mean, that telescope up there is just so iconic. But, so Colonel Griffith J. Griffith donated about 3,000 acres. He donated the funds to build an observatory. So he didn't get to see it, but in his will it said, and an exhibit hall and also a planetarium, which is so fun. And he really wanted to make astronomy accessible to the public, which is really cool. I mean, I won't get into the telescope and astronomy because I don't know anything about that. I know that you guys thought I was really well versed in astronomy, but I'm not actually. So it was constructed with the funds from that Griffith left behind, and the observatory was given to the people in Los Angeles in 1935. And with the provision that it be operated for the public with no admission fee. That's what Griffith really wanted. He didn't want anyone to have to pay for this. And he didn't want anyone to change the name. It had to. So those were his two things. It had to be free and it had to be Griffith Park. Those were the only things. Of course, they didn't want his money in the beginning because of, he was a big drinker and then the gunshot incident and all that stuff. And he wanted to get rid of it because he didn't want to pay taxes on it. But then, after he died, they're like, okay, fine, we'll take your money. So it was one of the first institutions here in the United States dedicated to public science, and possessed the third planetarium in the U.S. So it was kind of ahead of its time for there. So that the planetarium features, I mean, such a cool. If you've never been in the theater, you sit back and look up and you see these world-class scientific, it's educational, programming kind of videos, and it's a really amazing experience. And they tell you about, the history of the universe and astronomy. So, I mean, since it opened in 1935, millions of visitors have looked through that 12-inch, so it's the Zeiss refracting telescope. And that's right on the rooftop on the building's east end. That's usually for nighttime viewing, but it's open for the general public. I don't think I've looked through it. I mean, maybe I did, but I didn't know what I was looking at. But, I mean, the telescope targets the planets, the moon, and all the other brightest places in the Milky Way. And the LA Times reported that on the opening of the gala in 1935, the crowd gasped as stars began to appear in the heavens. Then the sun arose and swung across on its orbit, followed later by the moon, with all the stars and planets completing their circuit of the heavens. So that was a quote from the LA Times when the night that it opened. It must have been so exciting for the people of LA to go up there and to, you do feel close to heaven, or a little bit, closer, because, you're on this hill, and it really is one of the best views of the city of LA. You can see everything you can see the ocean, you can see downtown. It's just, it's so much fun to be up there. So it's just a short little taste of LA history, a short little class. I don't really have any other scientific, information about telescopes or anything like that. But it's part of our city that's really, tons of movies were filmed up there. The Rocketeer is my personal favorite, but that's only because I watched it as a kid. But there's a lot of excitement just around there, and it's kind of cool. You can kind of just look up and take a look, even if you're. But yeah, it used to be free to park, but now, of course, it's $15. But it is free to walk around and go inside, and I don't know. I'm thinking field trip. So Colonel Griffith J. Griffith, crazy, right? So donated over 3,000 acres of land. So this comes out in 1935, as we looked at. So I hope you enjoyed that, and it's cool that he made it, a park forever, and made it free. You just have to pay for parking, but what a great visionary and crazy personal life. But one of the best places to go to and drive up to in LA that you can see, and it's got some beautiful views, as we just saw. So hope you enjoyed looking at the Griffith Observatory. Real pleasure sharing that. And tomorrow we'll see your film score results for Twin Peaks. Okay, have a great rest of the day, and see you tomorrow. Bye.